What we do that kind of makes us a little bit different, we do focus a lot of our efforts on just doing good work, right? Like, holding up to our promises and just doing really, really good work for our clients. And our retention rates are super high, right? And we focus a lot of our energies on just, like I said, just doing good work, focus on retention. And then with doing good work, right, we are able to get referrals. We're also able to upsell our clients pretty easily, right? And that's where, like, I think the benefit of having a creative and marketing agency comes in, because we can upsell from one side to the other one in a very seamless way.
Welcome back to the High Ticket Systems podcast. Everyone, please welcome the one and only Mr. Tommy Chang. Tommy, how you doing today, my friend?
I am doing good, brother. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic, man. As you know, I was sick for like 2.5 weeks. I'm finally back on my feet, ready to get back to business, conduct these podcasts, and learn about what you and the Creative Group, Creativo Group, are
Creativo.
doing.
Yeah.
Perfect. I butchered the name. Please, I'm sorry. What is the company name, and what do you guys do, and who you guys serve?
Creativo Group, and we are a marketing and creative boutique agency based in Miami, Florida, and also in Los Angeles, California, where I am.
Cool, coast to coast.
Yeah,
So, performance marketing, creative group for which industry, which niche?
so we are more of a generalist agency.
Okay.
We we really, I mean, we've talked about like niching down. We've had other agency founders that had advised us, that's best to niche down. We did have one founder that's a personal friend of mine. He actually told me not to niche down. Yeah. So I think the originally, when we started this, the original intention was do something very specific. And then, like within the span of like a few weeks, that kind of went out the window. And then we started doing work for companies across different industries. And then, I'm proud to say that we actually do really, really good work. And now we're like about, we're just over 3 months, or sorry, 3 years in. We just celebrated our third year anniversary of the founding of the company just a month ago. So yeah, so it's been good.
That's awesome, brother. I feel like what 80% of businesses don't make it past 2 years. You guys are on year three. You guys are crushing the game right now.
Yeah. And I think that's because like a lot of contracts and stuff like that are signed, like for like a year or two, and then I think what we do that kind of makes us a little bit different. We do focus a lot of our efforts on just doing good work, right? Like like holding up to our promises and just doing really, really good work for our clients. And our retention rates are super high, right? And we focus a lot of our energies on just, like I said, just doing good work. Focus on retention, and then with doing good work, right, we are able to get referrals. We're also able to upsell our clients pretty easily, right? And that's where, like, I think the benefit of having like a creative and marketing agency comes in, because we can upsell from one side to the other one in a very seamless way.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think on our first conversation, we actually talked about that if you
Right.
focus on good work, your clients will refer you business more times than not because they love working with you. You guys are delivering results, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And the second thing that I want to mention is absolutely, man, having upsells, cross sales, down sales, a great way to increase LTV, 100%.
Yeah.
What other services do you guys offer besides like the creative part of the company?
So it's creative, and then on the marketing front is PPC, is basically managing paid media, and
Okay,
then we do SEO as well.
solid.
Um, SEO, Geo, and AEO work. So
That's the second time today somebody brought that freaking word up. What the hell is AEO?
that's answer engine optimization.
Got it.
Yeah.
Answer engine
It's
optimization.
basically all wrapped up into like essentially LLM AI, or some people call it AI search now, but it's basically being found on like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, stuff like that, right?
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, so
Okay. Yeah, I heard of AI SEO or Geo, but AEO is definitely would have to start, utilizing that in my repertoire of words and
Yeah,
vocabulary.
so like another acronym that
So
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know you work in many different verticals and sectors, but would you say because you guys are a creative agency that you guys work with ecom brands more times than not, or
We do a lot of work with e-com brands. We do a lot of work with like B2B, AI
oh
SaaS
really?
too. Yeah. So I
Oh,
think it runs the gamut, right, man? Like, yeah, I mean, I personally have come from like an e-commerce background. I've done, like I spent most of my career in e-com. That's what I was born out of, and then we have quite a number of clients in the e-com space. One of our larger clients is operates in the e-commerce space, but then we do have a number of other clients like in the B2B space, in the AI space, in the SaaS space, right? So I think it kind of like I said, we haven't really like focused, at least not yet, on like one particular piece of it, right? So.
who? Take a moment to think about this if you need to. But looking at your best clients, like your absolute best clients, like your favorite to work with, the ones that get the best results, that are with you the longest. Can you pinpoint like the persona of that company? Headcount, revenue range, industry.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, like it's not like again, because we're a generous agency, we're agency agnostic. But in terms of like revenue, usually like I would say, 10 plus 10 to 50 million plus in annual revenue. Headcount anywhere from like 20 to 50 people. I think typically, where we do, like in terms of PPC work, let's just take that for example, like where we do the best work there is when the company actually has some budget to spend, right? um because like I think that oftentimes, like when we get a company and they don't have any money to spend, and they're like, hey, you only have a budget of like $1,000. Like you can't, like honestly, like and I don't want to, I never try to mislead anyone. We never lie. We're super honest, right? And I would just tell them, like honestly, like there's nothing we can do with $1,000, right? Like you're just wasting your money at that point,
Right.
right? And I see a lot of, like, I mean, our ICPs are usually like startups, but funded startups,
Okay.
right? And or like it could be like a non-funded startup, but they're like in the process of like in a current round, and they're about to hopefully get funding soon, right? Or like a mid-sized business, right? We actually try to, we don't do a whole lot. I mean, we have a few, but we don't do a whole lot of stuff with smaller businesses, like local businesses and stuff like that. There's certainly a lot of agencies that like focus, like I know of one, a couple of different agencies that just does, like, one example is like they do SEO for just plumbers, right? Or there's like another company that I know of, like they just do paid media for lawn care guys, right? So we're not like one of those type of companies, right? I think ours, like we kind of like we try to focus more on like nationwide companies. Like I said, funded startups, mid-sized companies, with some decent budget to spend, at least like 10,000 a month. Like our average per paid media client, like spending wise, is about 50 to 60. Like our highest, our biggest client, in the past, during like a holiday, like during like November, December, they're obviously like in the e-com world. They've spent upwards of like 500,000 a month, right, that we've managed. So I think it kind of runs that gamut, right? But that's kind of like the ideal client for us, right? To kind of make things work, correctly. Because if not, then like with a couple of grand, like like it's struggling, right? You're really struggling.
No, definitely, definitely. I definitely encourage working with already established business owners or VC backed companies,
Yeah.
right? Because they can take the gamble, they can take the risk,
Right.
and it's just so much easier to work with those companies, different mindset. I can list off all the benefits, but from
Oh yeah,
experience.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, they have, internally, like marketing folks, and they get it, right? It's a lot less like hand holding and explaining and stuff like that, right?
For
So
sure, for sure.
yeah.
I will say that the reason why so many gurus or sure mentors out there say, niche down, because I think it just makes everything easier from a scalability standpoint.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Just in like marketing terms, right? If I have to create messages for 10 different ICPs, that's a lot of work,
Right.
right? And when I'm making this ad or I'm making this email or making any content, right?
Yeah.
Literally any form of marketing material, and I'm trying to blend this content to 10 different personas, it's not going to resonate with anyone. Like generally it might, but it won't like have a visceral impact with someone.
For sure.
And then
Right. And I get that, but I think the way that we've overcome it is that at the end of the day, all businesses, they're after one same thing, right?
that is
It's
true.
sales, right? To drive
Absolutely.
revenue. So I think we focus on, when we talk to people like going into a pitch, we focus on business outcomes, right? Here is what we're gonna do for you, and here's what we're gonna do to drive to your end goal, which is increasing revenue, right? So I think to us, that's like, I think we figured out that kind of works, and that's pretty agnostic, and that kind of goes across, any company, any industry. Because at the end of the day, like, I like for our B2B guys, like oftentimes, they come to us and they're like, no, we want more leads. And I'm like, no, 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 you want more sales, right?
Yes, there you
Right?
go.
You don't want more lead, like you want more sales. It's not like who, like put the leads aside. Like you want leads, like leads is to get you to sales, right? So I think, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it, right? So that's what we focus on, right? So I think that's been like kind of been our thing to, kind of circumvent or like, mitigate that issue of like, oh, you don't have that, this experience in this industry or that industry. Like to me, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're focused on the same end goal, which is driving increased revenue, your, you know and your business outcome, right? So
100%. For
yeah.
sure. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
On that note, you brought up like sales processes. A lot of different companies, individuals have different processes when it comes to conducting a sales consultation. Do you mind giving us like a high level overview of what that looks like for you and the company?
Yeah, so for us, it's most of our sales right now is driven through referrals. Like any stage of agency, or any agency at our current stage, I think that's probably, what you're gonna hear most. We just started thinking and putting together more of a specific inbound and future outbound strategy. But in terms of like just sales, like, it's, we meet we meet a prospect. We usually get on Zoom, do a pitch meeting. Usually I think in the pitch meeting is us kind of going through, what we're all about, some high level, like, processes and case studies and stuff like that. But I think more so for us, it's important to listen to the prospect, right? So I think we kind of go in there with the thought of, let's restrain like our own talking, and let's listen more, right? So like usually, like, we try to have like a listen to talk ratio of like 70-30, right? Because we
I
want
love
to we want to hear like what they're saying, and we don't want to make it all about us, but rather make it all about the prospect, and listen to what their problems are, they're trying to solve, their goals and stuff like that, and then think of like, okay, well, how are we going to attack this, right? Then afterwards, we then quickly, follow up with a second meeting where we're going to present to them like, here's our solution, here's a customized plan for you, here's what we're all going to do, XYZ. and go through that pricing conversation, right? And then if all goes well, then we ask for the business. So usually it's a two meeting process. We kind of keep it relatively short. We don't like to drag things out, but it also depends, right? It also depends on the client, how they got referred to us. One of our best clients actually, like I closed them on the first call within 15 minutes. You know, so yeah, so like yeah, so it's like sometimes it's like super quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes like like 3 or 4 meetings, right? So yeah,
I feel like with sales, you have to like gauge the energy between the
yeah, yeah.
person.
Gauge the energy.
The
Yeah,
person
exactly.
you close in 15 minutes, you can just tell from his like energetically, he was liking the vibes, he likes the company, he was already in. Like,
Exactly.
why delay the process? Let's just get you
Yeah,
onboarded, right?
yeah, yeah,
With other guys where it's like a 3, 4 step meeting, you can just tell they're might be a little more reserved, a little skeptical, maybe not as trusting initially. Doesn't
right.
mean the deal can't get closed. It just means you have to work a little harder for it, right?
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
way, and I think just that picking up on energy and small cues and tonality just comes from like fucking thousands of reps or just experience, right?
For sure.
You did bring up something important though, which is the two call close. I Before I learned this strategy, I was all about the one call close.
Oh,
However, it is a bit difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's really hard to close cold
yeah.
traffic in a fucking one call 60-minute meeting. It's very difficult.
Right.
So what I like to do is a similar process as you, right? The first call is literally nothing about us, everything about them.
Yeah.
We take that information after we diagnose the problem, come up with like some ideas on how to solve it. We craft a customized proposal, right? We take the extra 1 to 2 days, personalize everything for them, and then
Right.
present that on the second call. And because we take that, I don't know, additional 30 minutes, I mean, at least with like AI tools and shit, it's like an additional 30 minutes to really personalize it.
Yeah.
That increases so much like goodwill. Like, damn, this company took the time to really personalize this for me. And because it's personalized, they can like imagine it happening in real life. Like, okay, I can see this Google campaign working for me because of XYZ reason, or I can see like this creative angle working for me because it's like it's real, it's happening. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So like it's funny you mentioned that because on the second call, what we typically do is also present some mock-ups. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So like if it's a creative thing, if it's like a website, right? We would, I mean, it's not hard to do, right? We would take their logo, put it into a wireframe, and then maybe we'd do a little bit of work, like 15-30 minutes of work, and make it into a mock-up. So then they can like visualize and put themselves in that position, right? And the same thing with like on the PPC side, we mocked up ads. We mocked up like fake Google ads,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And we presented to them like this is what it can be, right? So imagine what it can be, right? So that like usually works like phenomenally well. Yeah, I mean we never try to close on the first call, but like again, like it just depends on the vibes, right?
Right, right, right.
I think on the usually on the first call, again, like yes, same with you. We're listening, we're taking notes. Second call, we present to them our solution, pricing, and then ask for the business, right?
For sure, for
So yeah,
sure.
so that tends to work well for us.
You said something earlier. You brought up, some months because I have a couple clients that work in the e-com space.
Yeah.
They primarily work for like Google ads and Meta ads, and like you're saying, bro, like Q4, these e-com companies are spending $500,000 a month,
Oh yeah.
100K, 200K a month, like it's
Right.
nothing. They
Right.
make like their year's profit in Q4. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I want to ask you from like a pricing standpoint, when you're managing $500,000 per month, does your pricing adjust because that's a lot of budget to
Of
manage?
course, yeah, yeah. So typically on the PPC side, we're all about like we have a flat fee structure. So unlike a lot of other PPC agencies where they're based on percentages
Mhm.
of spend, we have a flat fee, right? So our flat fee, is like, generally it ranges from like, $1 to 50 grand, and then 51 to 100, 101 to 200, stuff like that, right? So the answer is yes, we do adjust, right? But it just depends, right? If they're just going from like say typically from 100 to 150, to us is like, the same amount of work. It's not that much more. So we'll happily adjust that. And typically, there's no extra cost to that extra 50 grand that we're spending. Unlike some agencies where it's like like a percentage, right? Then, you know, and
Yeah,
I
like
and I actually like doing that because the reason why is that oftentimes when a campaign is working really well, right? Typically the Google rep will also ask the client to increase spend, right? And so will we, but I want to take out the money component out of it. I don't want the client to think in the back of their minds, oh, they're just asking us to increase spend because they want to get paid more, right?
right.
No, I want
Yeah.
to ask you to increase spend so you can get more sales, right?
Yeah,
So,
you have a 5x ROAS right now, dude. Like you turn a dollar into $5. Like you should spend
oh
more
no,
money.
yeah, and 5x for us sucks. Like we average like a 7x.
That's
So
solid. That's
yeah,
solid. That's
yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. So
Is
we
the,
do really good work there.
no, absolutely. Words, Jesus.
Yeah.
Are you the one like behind the computer screen, clicking the buttons in Google, or do you have a team to help you with that?
Yeah, we have a small team. Our team consists. I mean, our total team size is 8 people,
Oh, solid.
including myself and my co-founder Karina. But we have a small team of like designers and marketers and stuff like that. So I think at the end of the day, like the answer to your question is yes, but it depends on which account, depends on the day, what we're doing, who's doing what, stuff like that, right?
Gotcha.
So I like kind of also, being in the weeds and not losing touch of what we do,
Yeah,
to keep my own, just personal skill, up to par, right? Because at the end of
absolutely.
the day, like we're selling this thing, and I need to know, you know, what it does and how to do it. Yeah. So
You got to keep your thumb on the pulse of what's going on, whether it's with your company, with the skill set that you're selling, the
yeah,
services,
exactly.
all that fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is your favorite thing to work on? Just like from like a personal note, is it like the creative side, the website design, Google PPC?
Um, I think it honestly depends on the day. I mean, so Karina, my business partner, she handles and oversees, manages the creative part of our business. She's been a creative director before, and then for me, I've always been a marketer. So I think that I love design a lot, even though I don't work on it, just because I just like we do really fucking good work on the design side. Like you see some of the sites that we've done, I mean it's mind blowing, and I just love seeing the output. Right, like I just love seeing the whole process and the output. Sometimes I'm in these client meetings and I don't even say a word, but I'm just like sitting there. I'm just like amazed by like what we're doing, right? And I'm like, how are we even making this stuff like work? Like I don't know. But so I love that part of it. I mean, I think, but for me, I think I mean, I kind of nerd and geek out on like Google Ads, and I'm kind of a data guy. So I
Sure.
so I love all the data. I love like seeing a lot of our clients like being successful and seeing like that average 7x ROAS that I'm talking about, right? And like figuring out, oh, like this client, their ROAS isn't as great, or their CAC, is a little bit high. What can we do to lower that, and like making changes, and then seeing like a week later it's getting better. Like I love stuff like that. So that's kind of, my personal wheelhouse.
For
You know.
sure. So it
Yeah.
sounds like data-driven strategies.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about data, bro. Like I've been in business for myself for the last 6 years. I hated going over metrics and data when I first started. Now
Yeah.
after 6 years in, I'm like, dude, data is like the number one fucking thing I look at. Like
Yeah.
if you really zoom out, like really, really zoom out, bro, business is just math. Business really
Yeah.
is just
Exactly. Yeah.
and you like no offense, but like to anyone out there listening, but you put people in place to execute so they can achieve numbers. Like not again, not to sound like rude or anything, but like that's reality. From a business perspective, that's
Yeah.
what it is, right? It's like KPIs, it's metrics, it's shit like that. Now, what you said, looking at data and you realize, our average ROAS is a 7. For whatever reason, this client's achieving a 4, as an example. What is the strategy we can take to improve this campaign? And it sounds to me like that thinking process is what you freaking love the most. Because same here. I
Yeah.
love the creative process, the strategy process, like just the deep creative thinking. And I
Right.
think
Yeah.
like I'm not good at designing websites at all, but like when it comes to messaging, copywriting, turning a stranger into interest, into a sale, like that fucking process, dude. Like I eat that shit up for breakfast. Like I
Yeah.
fucking love it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, and no, and I know what you're talking about because I mean, this might sound bad, but at the end of the day, I also like the biz dev or the sales process too, because at the end of the day, like a lot of it, because I majored in psychology, so a lot of it is it's like kind of a game between people,
yeah,
right? Kind of figuring out, what buttons to press, what to say, what not to say, stuff like that, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
so it's like fun. It's fun.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yes.
Like
So
human behavior, like kind of off topic, like human behavior to me personally is really, really interesting.
yeah.
So I actually study just for fun, like hypnotherapy,
Okay.
which is basically like behavioral science. Like
Right.
if you think about it, it's just like how to get someone to change their behavior
Yeah.
instead of using like logic and good, not goodwill, like your willpower. It's like you work with the subconscious mind. Anyways, but it's just interesting, like two
Yeah.
people can go through very similar lives. Like they can live in the same household, have the same parents, and act completely differently,
Right.
right? Just like how, why? Like, aren't you guys supposed to be the same? Like almost the same experiences, but
Right.
humans are just vastly different, even though they grew up in the same little tribe. I might say.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's just interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, back on topic, Tommy.
Yeah.
You see, yeah, you have 8 employees, including yourself and the co-founder. How did you manage to find the 6 remaining staff?
It wasn't hard, man, because the vast majority of them came through our network.
Okay,
So both Karina and I have had long careers, each of us 20 years plus before Creativo Group.
gotcha.
So we built up, a pretty substantial network that we're able to tap in, not only for clients but also for help, right? So when we started the agency, yeah, it was like just literally like looking into our network for hiring a designer that we had worked that had worked for us before, hiring a marketer that had worked with us before, stuff like that, right? So it was not really too difficult. I think that we do, as we grow, right, that obviously only goes so far. So I think what we're trying to do there is have like a mentality of hiring slow and firing fast,
Mhm.
right? So I mean, unfortunately sometimes like things don't work out, things like that, right? But then we are careful on who we're bringing on, right? Making sure that they're a personality and culture fit for us. We like them and they like us, stuff like that. So I think it goes beyond just like are you capable of doing the work, right? Because a lot of people are these days, right? But we want to make sure that they're the right fit for us. They're the right fit for our clients too. They can be client facing. They kind of speak well, and they can kind of present themselves in a manner that we are proud of and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, you cannot have one person who's a cancer to the organization can destroy the entire organization.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You definitely they have to be amongst anything a culture fit.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them be a culture fit and I teach them the competencies or I teach them the skill opposed to vice versa, where they have the skill, they're obviously intelligent, but not a company fit, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And I learned that throughout the course of my career, right? I think here, we've been pretty lucky in that, everyone on the team is great, and we're all caring and empathetic people, and so yeah, so it's just all kind of good vibes,
Not for sure.
all around. Yeah.
I do have a serious question though. What is your who achieves a 7x ROAS on Google? I know
Who
you said it's
achieves a
average.
7x ROAS in Google?
Yeah, for your clients. I know you said it's average, but like, can you give me one example, like one industry, one company?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a consumer electronics company. That's one of our
The
clients.
econ?
Yeah, e-commerce company. Yeah, and we've been averaging like looking. I mean, I was just looking at their data. The company is called Monoprice. Looking at their data for the past like 2 years, we're like at a 6.9x ROAS average for the past 2 years.
That's so cool.
I think it depends on right on the company. I mean, we have other companies that we have a couple of luxury watch clients now. Not we have two of them. One of them is running paid media. The other one is not. They're doing SEO. But the paid media one, I mean, obviously, like with a luxury watch, especially like a vintage Rolex or vintage like AP or Pat or like a Pat or like a Patek that sells for like 50, 70 grand. I mean, so you can imagine like the ROAS there could be through the roof, right? So yeah, so
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you're selling 50K, 70K watches. So like you lose out on profitability, I think, on higher ticket items and at scale as well. But again, you make up for it in revenue, like
right.
totally. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. So there, like, I think, we're more focused on, for that particular client, like looking at overall, like, cost per lead and cost per sale. But we've been able to get it down to like a phenomenal level, phenomenal level, where, like it's like a no brainer. Right. So,
for sure. And I bring up the Google Ads question because I know there's so many things that have to go right, right?
yeah.
People think like they partner with an agency and they say, oh, just like run my ads and make me sales. Like, okay, cool, whatever. But there's so many different components, right? There's how the campaign is structured, how the headlines are presented, what is the meta tags or the body copy within the PPC campaign, right? And then that's just a handful. Then we have the actual freaking website or the funnel itself. Like the headline has to be on point, the call to action has to be on point, the
Yeah, for sure.
graph, the UI,
Yeah.
So I guess, do you handle the UI and UX whenever you take over PPC accounts? Do you feel like those go hand in hand?
It depends on the client. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It depends. I think, yeah, it all depends on the client, because like, and I say that because like, we, if need be, right? Like once we get in there, if need be, because okay, so let me just take a step back. We do evaluate um prospects based on like if it's a PPC prospect, we do take a look at their product. We do take a look at their brand, what's out there. We do take a look at their website, right? There have been a few times where we've encountered a prospect where, I don't know, the product wasn't great, the website wasn't that great, they didn't have any brand awareness. So it was going to be hard, even though they had the money to spend. It was going to be really extraordinarily difficult for us to really do anything, right? And then I kind of foresaw like, okay, this could be unhappy client down the road in a couple of months, thinking that it's not working, when it's more the product, because in PPC there's a lot of other variables besides just the ad, right?
Yeah.
So, we're pretty honest and transparent about that with those clients. And we tell them like, hey, maybe you need to improve XYZ before, you think about spending money, right? Or we tell them like, hey, your website might need a little bit of work, maybe we can focus there first. Right. So I think it all depends. Sometimes, clients have a really, really phenomenal website, and we don't need to do anything, and then we can just jump right in and start spending and taking over the account. Other times, we need to like, hey, you're gonna, you might need to think about a landing page. You might need to fix your UI UX first. So yeah, so I think it all depends. I don't think we don't go into it with the thinking of it automatically going hand in hand, right? But sometimes, yeah, they have to, right? So
Yeah, you have to take like a holistic approach to business. I mean, sure, marketing, but like in business in general, right? Like if
right,
you really want to go from, 0 to 100K to 100K to 500K, 500K to a million and beyond,
yeah,
like you need so many different pillars and so many different levers all working in conjunction at a really high level.
yeah,
You can have your ads dialed in, but if your funnel is horrible, not going to convert well. Or if you own a B2B
sure.
company, you sell like high ticket items over the phone. You can have amazing, amazing ads. Your cost per lead, your cost per book calls is within KPI, but your close rate's 5%, not going to be a good business. Or let's take it one step further, right? KPI for cost per book calls solid. Closing, 20-25% solid. We're profitable there. But my clients leave me every month. Like
Yeah,
my retention, my churn is fucking like 90%. It's horrible, right?
yeah,
Again, the business is not going to be profitable. And I know I'm talking about business from a holistic standpoint, but specifically for marketing, like there's so many levers you have to pull, right? So I'm kind of glad that you guys take that approach and you don't just like give somebody a cookie cutter Google Ads plan. You say like, hey man, the website needs work. Let's work on this first. Or no, like your website's baller. Like let's actually just scale the hell out of this thing. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
kudos to you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we don't take the cookie cutter approach on anything, not even design. Like, none of our websites are like are template based. Everything is like custom work and stuff like that. Yeah. So
Badass, badass.
yeah.
Now I do want to ask you one question. How are you guys using AI
Ah,
internally in the company?
yeah. So we are supporters and believers of AI.
Definitely.
I think there's two schools of thought, right? Like some don't like AI, and some do, and are adopting it. I think we clearly fall on the second camp. I think we use AI in like several ways. I think one way is on the design side. We use an AI tool to help us with wireframing and site mapping. That makes things a little bit more efficient for our design team. I think secondly, there's a tool out there. The tool is called Noted AI. They, at full disclosure, they're a client of ours, where we've helped them make their website and also running their paid media as well. But with that said, we are also using their tool, and their tool basically is a customer knowledge graph tool. So it essentially ingests all of the transcripts, all of the customer or the client touch points, email, Slack. I can read through all of the stuff like in Google Drive and ingest everything, and then it comes up and tells you, what's the overview, what's the overall client sentiment. Are they likely to churn? Do you have a problem? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities, sales opportunities, business opportunities? What's going good? What's going bad? It automatically, gives you a to-do list. And I love using this tool, like going into like before a client meeting, just get an overview of like, especially like with things that like I might not be working on every day, like on the creative side, right? That I'm like less familiar with because my business partner is handling that with her team. Just getting an overview of like what is happening, what's going on, what are we talking about, right? And the same thing with her. She's going into this tool, using it for some of our marketing meetings. Just understanding, what's going on with this particular client, right? So that one is like really really useful for us. I think they built it with the trying to sell it to like account managers, customer success folks, not really specifically for agency use. But we've adapted it for agency use, and they're really cool. I mean, the two guys that are running it, Chris and Steve, they're really great people, and they've are open to customizing it to our needs and stuff like that, which they've done many times. And then we ourselves, we created like an AI proprietary product for programmatic SEO, right? So our tool that we built internally is capable of creating content at scale.
Nice.
Even though we have this, even though the tool can create content at scale, we do it in a very thoughtful and restrained way. So our tool is capable, like some of the other programmatic SEO tools out there, creating thousands of pages, on the fly per day. We don't do it that way because we're not out to try to push like low quality content to Google and just spam the shit out of Google, right?
Mhm.
So we kind of do it in a more thoughtful way. Like for the majority of our clients, is like one article, but like very high quality article targeting all those three things like SEO, geo, and and AEO in one long content piece. And it's been working well. I mean, like if you look at client wide, I mean everyone that's been on this has grown in their numbers, both across the board, both in organic search, like just regular or organic search, and also AI search as well. So
But Tommy, getting back to what you said, is it noted.ai?
Noted AI, Noted AI.
Noted
Yeah,
AI?
their website is getnotedai.com. No, wait, no, sorry, getnoted.ai. Yeah, that's their website.
That is so badass. I
Yeah,
will probably become a client like right after this conversation, I promise you.
yeah,
I use Claude Code and I just create projects within like my Claude Code account. It
mhm.
definitely keeps, project files separate from all of my other clients. Like it knows their ICP, like all about them. But what it does not do is communicate across all channels of communication, like email, Slack, Google
Yeah,
Drive, Google Meetings. Like that shit right there is precedent. Amazing. I can definitely see the value behind that, right?
yeah.
The other one, I definitely think it's wise not to create AI slop at scale. I think it's
Oh,
much,
yeah,
much better to create one really good piece of content daily opposed to 1,000 a day that are horrible.
yeah,
Like this one 10 out of 10 blog post will outperform all 1,000 horrible blog posts 7 days out of seven. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's why like a lot of our those type of blog posts. I mean, they're ranking pretty high. We focus on long tail terms. I mean, we do the research, right? Because our tool is capable of going out, figuring out who the competitors are, the competitor set of this brand, and then the tool is capable of then like going out and figuring out through SEM Rush what are the terms that actual users are searching on to land on on the competitor sites. So it's actual real search terms that people are searching for that we're using has keywords to drive the creation of these content pieces, right? So it's not just like made up, like you said, not made up AI slop that we throw together, right? So there's
Oh,
a
for
lot of
sure.
like work that goes behind it, and then when the articles are done, there is a person on the team that her job is reviewing the articles, right? So it's not automatically just published onto the internet. She goes in every day and reviews everything, makes edits. She's adding in the image, the images as well, right? We don't use AI for image creation. I think that image creation is not quite there yet, right? Because sometimes it could be awesome and it's realistic, and sometimes it generates like someone with six fingers, right? So yeah, so like it's very inconsistent. So I don't think the consistency is necessarily there yet, right? Probably give it another like a few months to, or like maybe a year, right? Then it'll be better. I feel. But but her job right now is like looking at that and then making the edits, reviewing everything, and publishing everything, right?
For
So
sure.
yeah,
No, I think that is smart. Someone broke down AI to me this way. I mean, I knew this logically. I just had someone explain it to me this way. But basically, AI is like 80/20. 20% human, 80% AI. You
right.
want to split the 20% on the front end and the back end of AI. This is what I mean. So, if we're on the topic of blog post, right, we want to feed context into AI up front. A proper way to write a blog, keywords that we're ranking for, just
Yeah,
scraping competitors' websites to see how we can beat them, using
yeah,
SEMrush, right, feeding all this data and
yeah,
context into AI initially. And then AI does its magic. It does the 80%. It writes the freaking blog, right?
yeah,
And then the last 10% is where one of your staff members comes into play and reviews it.
Right.
Because if you don't review it and you just release slob, or like not slob, but like maybe a mistake or two,
Yeah, it
it's
could be.
definitely gonna bite you in the ass, right? So
Yeah.
you want that 10% context in the front, let AI do the 80% work, and then human in the loop the last
Yeah.
10%. And that's basically how I've kind of always used it. Not always, but like I use it now. But the
Yeah.
way she broke that down, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
explaining it that way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, 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 that makes sense. And that's the way we approach it. I mean, if you look at some of the code behind that behind the tool, I mean, like literally, like like some of our prompts is longer than the articles themselves, right? Because we put so much into it. I mean, we also grab like the brands like tone of voice, all their brand guides. We also like have the ability to upload prior writing into the system. And yeah, I mean, it's like pretty freaking good, so yeah, but it took some time for us to get there. Like admittedly, like our first try, it was like a fucking disaster. Like
Same here, bro. No, for
yeah,
sure.
I was like, yeah, this is not, yeah. So I was like kind of questioning, like, okay, this is gonna work or not. But it actually took like it took us several months to kind of hone it down. I think we really started working on it, I think in like late 2024. I think we had like the idea in like the summer of 24, the fall of 24. We started working on it diligently, like late 2024, and I think throughout last year was like us like we refining it and doing like multiple revisions of this thing and starting to onboard real clients onto it, right? So yeah, so it was definitely like fun to like get that all figured out and get it all going. So
It's a process for sure.
yeah, yeah.
We're running out of time, unfortunately. So one more question, maybe two.
Okay, cool.
Looking back over your career as an agency owner, what is one thing you wish you knew before starting the agency?
I wish I would have done the agency sooner. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was like, I mean, I like, because we, we've already had a lot of business experience. Um, I've never had my own business before this. So I think every day we're learning different things, right? Like, before when I was an employee for a company, right? Like, HR, accounting, all that was done for me. Legal, all that was done for me. I didn't have to worry about all that stuff.
right.
And then here, I think it was like, especially in the beginning, like every day was like a new thing that would come up, not related to the work itself, right? But related to other things like, for example, after we got our first client, we had to send them an invoice. Okay, well, how do we do that, right? Oh, wait, there's QuickBooks. Okay, so let's subscribe to this thing. So so it was a lot of like that sort of back office stuff that my business partner and I had to figure out, right? Because like I think we were more just like business people, doing the marketing work, doing the creative work, and not, having to worry about accounts receivable and sending out invoices and legal stuff and SOPs and stuff like that, right? So there was a lot of that. But I mean, just looking back, I think I wish I would have just started this sooner, right? I think that if we would have started this sooner, we would have been in a different place right now, right? But I'm glad that we did, and better late than never. So
Absolutely, yeah. No, y'all should be proud of yourselves for one,
yeah,
even taking that risk, let alone the success that you guys have. But on that topic of like daunting, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna jump off the cliff. I'm gonna become my own boss. I'm gonna start that, path of being an entrepreneur. Like you think of like all these fears, all the things that could go wrong. And like, oh my God, I don't know so many things. But like you're describing, you just figure that shit out along the way, man. Like all
yeah,
these business
right.
owners didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They just figured that shit out. And now it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
pop,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Like going into it, I mean, I can only speak for myself because Karina's not present. But for me, I never really was looking at it with like fear or like a daunting thing. I was up for the challenge, but again, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time, right? I didn't know what we were exactly. I mean, I kind of knew what we were getting into, but like I didn't know like it had all this like other back office stuff, right? But like you said, like just I just learned over time, right? Like it's and then now we're at a place where like the team is big enough, like we have a bookkeeper on the team. I mean, she's actually the ninth person on the team, but like we have a bookkeeper that helps us with the invoicing. We have a legal firm that helps us with a lot of the legal stuff, right? So yeah, so it's all fine now.
Good stuff. No, Tommy,
Yeah.
great conversation, my man. I had a ton of fun with you. We'll end on this note here. Where can they find you if they wanted to connect and ask you further questions?
Yeah, for sure. They can find us on our website at creativagroup.com. And then they can also look me up, Tommy Chang, on LinkedIn. Yeah, so
Good stuff. Well, again, brother, we'll have to have you back on in like 6 to 12 months to see how business is going for you.
yeah, no, I love it. Thank you.
Pleasure, of course. Audience, we'll talk to y'all soon.